the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amending and approval of the draft agenda. Everybody's good?
Good. We need to take off the first part of the closed session for the consulting with the attorney.
Conflict of interest point first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Does any member of the council have a conflict of interest or the appearance of a conflict of interest with regard to any item on the agenda? And if so, please state so at this time.
I do not.
No.
No.
Okay, on the closed session, we're going to take out A3.
Yes, the attorney will not be present today, so.
Council discussions.
I've got a couple of things I'd like to just kind of raise up. First off, I'd like to say thank you to all the departments and staff, police department, fire department, public works, stormwater, planning, everybody else involved in the hurricane recovery and protection. And perhaps, Hiram, you could give us some of the details of actually what went into that, if you would, when you get to your turn in the
Right.
process.
Real quick, I was going to let, during the staff reports, I was just going to let them talk about Dorian operations and then let you ask questions on anything else y'all want to talk about, but just for the sake of brevity, instead of going over full reports and Dorian report.
That's fine. I'd like to also say thanks to Cindy Stevenson and all the town staff leaders for their hard work in the Sunset Sound Waves. That was our Sunset Beach Weekly summer concert series. That was quite a big success. Thank you very much for all the hard work. And the third one, on a personal note, I'd like to say thanks to all the friends and well-wishers who offered their condolences and prayers for the passing of my father-in-law, my wife's father, Bill Mates. So thank you very much.
Is there anything else? Minutes for approval, August 5th, 2019, first regular meeting.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the August 15th, 2019 minutes, and August 20th, 2019, second regular meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
This is the public comments period on the agenda items only. Does anybody have any comments? John?
My name is John Farrell. I live at 624 Oyster Bay Drive. With respect to the ERC appointment consideration, I would like to confirm that you received my application for this latest posting, and I would like to find a way to resolve the questions that I have about the liabilities of members on the committee. So that's what I'd like to say.
Thanks, John.
Okay, John. Is there anyone else? Town administrator report. Hiram?
Yes, sir. Briefly, as Councilman Corbett pointed out, our concert series is over. We had I'd say a good first season with a little bit more opportunity to plan in advance. We're hoping to start that in the coming month, October, November time frame to start planning for next year. But I think it was a good hit. We averaged every week about roughly, over the whole time, about 300 people, but we peaked around 700 one time. And, I think we had about 200 another time, but consistently, over the period of time, it's like over 300 people every time throughout the whole event. So people come, people go. So overall, I'd say it was a good success, and I appreciate everybody showing up, appreciate the bands, appreciate the hard work of Cindy and the other staff members who participated in the cleanup. And the citizens also people stayed after the concert, helped clean up. It was just, great, great community effort. Look forward to doing it next year. We will be, like I said, starting soon, so we'll be taking input and feedback from the people moving forward. Hurricane Dorian came through. Everybody's familiar with that. For the large part, we didn't have a lot of damage to the town as a whole, just the town's trees, a lot of trees. And most of that damage came from the tornado, not really the hurricane. There was some minor bulkhead damage that came from during overnight from the hurricanes. We think the water rose up from the marsh area and the canals since the winds were driving southward from the north, and that pushed the water up against some bulkheads where there might have already been some sagging and some other structural problems, and it just found the weak point. So we're working through that with the property owners in our own areas as well. I'll let the department head speak more on Dorian operations, but overall, I think the staff did a marvelous job. I think they came together pretty well. We stayed here, we weathered it. The preparation work that staff did in advance took a lot of the stress off of the event itself, and then the cleanup afterwards. Well, we're still doing cleanup, but the day after went pretty smoothly. We had the bridge open within an hour after curfew. So everything, I think did pretty well for the town, and the staff came together. So unless you have any questions for me, I'll open it up to the department heads.
I'd just like to say that, Hiram, I thought you did an excellent job. You got the bridge open quickly. I think the town hall, all the department heads did a great job.
I have to agree with that, and Town Hall really dodged the bullet with the tornado. When I pulled up and parked today, I noticed these trees on this side. There's one that's twisted and broken off. There's two others that the tops are out of. If that had landed on the roof here, well, I guess we'd be meeting somewhere else.
No, actually, it did come across our roof. It was just not on the ground, thankfully.
Oh, I-
We were in the police kitchen when it came through, so.
did it do any damage to the roof?
And like I said, it wasn't on the ground, it was still in the air. That's why the fence back there is knocked over. It took the tops of the trees off. But,
What's the windows in it? Across the
yeah,
street,
the trees took the windows out across the street. And then further north of us is where most of it started touching down. I think it was on its way to landing when it came over us. And that's why thankfully we didn't have a lot of damage to our structures. But yeah, it came across Town Hall. We felt it on the roof. We got a good building.
What time of day was
7 o'clock in the morning. Getting ready to make breakfast. Yeah. So if there's no more questions on that or anything, you
Thank
want
you.
to bring up the department heads? So we'll start with,
Mr. Graham.
yeah, let's bring Dustin up. Since most questions will probably be for him at this point.
Like Hiram said, overall, we done pretty good. The beach done really good, very little erosion on the east end, and it actually looked like we gather sand than losing it this go around. With the storm picking up, we're with the first wave, we are done with Sugar Sands, Kings Trail, Shoreline Station, and Shoreline Woods. We're through with the first sweep in there. I'm in Bonaparte right now, and we're working our way back this way through town. Ocean Harbor, Orchard Bay, then we'll get behind the lakes, shoreline, and hit Sea Trail next after that.
Is the island last?
Yeah, Island will be last quarter. There's a little bit over there, so we're concentrating where the majority of it's at. Let's go ahead and knock that out.
I know you got a couple guys in class today and tomorrow. I know that's impacting your schedule, but can you give just a rough estimate when you think you'll be done with the first pass?
I am pushing to be done by the first pass, hopefully by the middle of next week, towards the end of next week. That's what I'm hoping to be, be done with it. The reason why I'm holding the island the last is because it's such a longer haul to go across over there and back, where we have to take it to.
Well, like you said, I don't think there's a lot of debris on the island.
No, so, but we ride every road, so we'll do everything. We'll get everything as we go.
That's the only question I have. The mosquitoes are horrible.
We've been spraying, we started spraying as soon as, after the hurricane. So, but, we're getting reports of mosquitoes, they did hatch over the weekend. So it takes between 4 to 7 days, just depending on what species it is, for them to hatch. I was talking to Hiram a while ago that we're looking at maybe doubling up, spraying afternoons and in the morning times to, see if we can knock them down.
'Cause I've never seen them this bad, ever. When you walk down the street, they swarm you.
Yeah, they are bad.
Now, you don't get the whole town every time you go out.
No, they're not.
You do
The
it-
town is broke up in 5 zones. The island is Monday. Tuesday is Shoreline Woods and Station Trail. Wednesday is the northern part of Sea Trail and Sugar Sands. Thursday is Bonner Park, Ocean Harbor, Oyster Bay, behind the lakes, and the rest of Sea Trail on this side of the Maples, next to the Maples. And the 5th, or Friday, is Cape Side, Sandpiper, and Windfall is done on Fridays. But with us changing it around, like I said, double it up, we'll hit different zones at different days.
Dustin, I had several people ask me about the garbage can at the very end of the island, before Bird Island, past 40th Street. You picked that up. Are you gonna put that back? Can we put that back?
Yeah, I can put that back.
Okay.
I can put one barrel back down there. Yeah, I can do that. Anything else?
I think you did a great job. The whole team did.
Okay, thank
Very
you.
good.
Thanks,
Thank you
Dustin.
very much.
Thank you.
John?
John? Storm warden?
Good morning. We had quite a bit of rain, as you know, during the event, and before, actually, we had some event. I just want to go over some of the areas that have been damaged that we need to focus on as a result of the rain events. Everybody knows about the Second Street sinkhole. That's been repaired, but there's some, in a few places on the island over there, there's some other sinkholes that are forming that will need to be addressed as well. So that's something going on. Hiram mentioned the bulkhead damage right at the end of Kobe, and there's a couple other locations. There's some significant damage to the road, and I think the stormwater adjacent to it over at Planters Ridge in Sea Trail. There was some damage done to the catch basin right off about the 500 block of Shoreline East that's going to need to be repaired. Some of the drainage easements along Magnolia where a lot of trees are down, so we'll have to obviously remove some of those large trees that came down as a result of the tornado. We had some other erosion issues, and then a significant problem arose at Rice Mill Creek. We had some pipe failures, culvert pipes going underneath the road over there. So I don't know if you've seen that or not, but that's going to be a significant repair there. So I haven't updated, like I mentioned, my spreadsheet. I'll have that ready for the next meeting. And between these projects and the other projects that were already slated, we've started receiving bids and moving along to go ahead and award some contracts to go ahead and move forward with our regular maintenance and repair work, as well as some of the issues that arose as a result of Dorian. Any questions?
I've got a couple of questions, but not related to the good work you did on the stormwater. There were questions that were asked before our September 3rd meeting that got postponed about the problems with the 35th Street storm drain, indicating that at least some of the residents didn't think it was done properly? Or do you have the background on that?
I have a little bit of background, and I checked the files. And I've been by there a few times. I've not noticed any malfunction or anything that would indicate to me that it's not operating properly. There were some notes in the file regarding a selection of pipe and what was available during the construction project, but I think that was resolved. I think it was based on the lay of the land and the power and all the utilities in that particular area. I think it was a challenging installation, to put it mildly. But as far as I know, it's functioning properly.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
You had put, I think it was on 10th Street, type 57 rock or slate?
Yes, sir.
Is that the correct
50, it's slate, that's correct, 57 slate.
57 slate? How did that work during the storm?
I think it worked very well. I was able to get out there during that 4 or 5 inch rain event that we had that over a period of maybe an hour and a half, and observed the amount of sediment, fine sediment that was coming off that particular street versus the others. And I think it reduced the amount of runoff.
Is there consideration of doing the other short streets the same way?
I would certainly make that recommendation. I wanted to see kind of where we stood from a budget standpoint after we do these repairs as a result of Dorian, and project what we have for the balance of the project schedule for this year. But I certainly would, I believe I'll make that recommendation for sure.
Do you have a sense of what does it cost to do that sort of, it's about a 100-foot area, 200-foot stretch on each of
I
those
think I need to
streets?
hold off on that.
Okay.
That would be I mean, I've looked at the cost of it, and I just don't have it with me or on top of me.
Okay.
This is something we were also considering to propose during budget next year, would be the remaining of those streets, and have those costs ready for budget time, maybe not as an amendment this year.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Anybody else?
Anything else?
Good job, John.
Thanks,
you.
John.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, John.
Chief Paul?
All right, I've got just a couple quick beach patrol updates. We're staffing on the weekends through September. Deputy Chief Adams, he's making daily trips out there checking on things, but there's not a regular patrol through the rest of the season, just so you know. The life rings got pulled off right before Dorian, and they're at this point probably going to stay off through the remainder of the season, so none of them disappear. I think the beach patrol review, we talked about the Tuesday meeting in November, right? So I'm gonna compile everything from this season for you and be able to give you all that data and information, and then hopefully have a couple other recommendations for different things after this busy season. We also we just submitted another grant for some extrication tools. It's a 100% grant if it's funded. So cross your fingers. We're also working on a community risk reduction grant for some funding for File of Life programs, and that is something, a little wallet-sized card folks can put their medical information on and keep in their purse or their wallet, and also one for their refrigerator or freezer. So if there's a medical emergency, we can get some information for the hospital and the EMS personnel quicker. So we're working on that. As far as Hurricane Dorian, our first conference call was Friday, August 30th. That continued Saturday, Sunday as things started ramping up, and the Hurricane Center prediction changed drastically. So by Monday and Tuesday morning, the fire department, we had all our stuff pretty well squared away. Wednesday morning, our emergency operations center at the firehouse was open, up and running, and hurricane shutters and everything were going up. And by 7 p.m. Wednesday night, the entire full-time staff was at the firehouse for the duration. We had numerous part-time and paid-on-call firefighters and the volunteers that came and go at different times, helping with logistics and everything from putting hurricane shutters up to helping with cooking food to afterwards clearing some of the roads and driving every road, pulling trash cans on the island to finish up our detail. And I do have to give compliments to Rick Gimbel. He's a retired FDNY fireman, but he has a lot of history and experience with FEMA and bigger incidents. He helped us with a lot of the incident action plans for the operational periods and completing the paperwork, not only for the firehouse, but I know he's going to be helping Police Chief Claymar and Dustin with some of the FEMA paperwork as well, and the reports afterwards. So kudos to Rick and everybody involved. I don't have any complaints. He put a lot of firemen in a couple of buildings for an extended period of times, and they performed well and they acted like grown men.
Do you have somebody helping with the meals?
Helping with the meals?
Yeah, providing?
Well, the Lisa and Cindy went and got a bunch of food ahead of time, and then Lisa's husband helped cook, or prepared some pre-cooked or pre-prepared meals, and then we threw them in the oven at different times and had sandwiches, and even Pete's in the audience. Pete and a bunch of other guys helped kind of cook that up for us when everybody was scattered and doing different things. So
Pete doesn't look like he lost any weight during the storm. So.
Paul,
He doesn't have much to
I-
lose.
well, to begin with, I want to thank Hiram for having the foresight to ask you all to pull the trash cans out. And we were over on the beach and saw your guys in action. They were going behind houses in the showers, and that's where I put mine. But I was there, so I pulled my own out. Boy, that would have been a mess by the next Thursday. We had runners, our can was overflowing. So I want to make sure all your guys know how much we appreciate the work they put in pulling the trash cans out.
yep, it's I'll let them know, but they've gotten a lot of thanks already from folks around town, and just something that's important to do. I think a week of all the trash over there would have been bad. So.
I thought the guys did a great job doing the cans, great job overall. Proud of our fire department.
They did well.
Yep, very well.
Some of that was the leadership.
A little bit, not much.
Thank you.
Chief Ken?
Good morning.
Morning.
First, I want to remind everybody, if you haven't seen our post yet, we are again preparing for our Trunk or Treat event, which is going to be held over here behind Ingram Planetarium once again on October 30th. It'll be from 5 to 6:30. We'll publicize that as much as we can. You'll see flyers around. We'll continue to put the word out. We are asking for, similar to what we did last year, any organizations that want to become involved. So this is a real community feel, not just the police department and the fire department, public works out there. We want to make it bigger and do some more fun things for kids this year. So October 30th from 5 to 6:30. So last week, I applied a few months ago for a grant through Walmart. They do a community foundation grant. We were awarded with $1,000 from Walmart in Charlotte, which we'll use for giveaway materials, things that we use for sunset throughout the year. My mic is giving out. So we use that money to replenish.
Here you go.
Replenish those supplies. For Dorian, our staff was ordered back to the station at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, and they were released different times Friday morning. Like Hiram alluded to, the bridge was opened shortly after the curfew was raised or lifted that morning, and it was open for the general public then around noon that same day. Our staff mainly concentrated on protecting folks' property, of course, making sure that the roadways were safe for vehicular travel, although we encourage people to stay put. One challenge that I know that we saw during Florence and we saw it again during Dorian was once the bridge is closed and it gets to a point where it's no longer safe to have our police officers sitting in front of that dump truck or sitting in front of that barricade and we pull them away, there's really nothing to stop anybody from going up the wrong side of the bridge to make access onto the island. We did make one arrest this year for an individual that we found on the beach in the water right around the time when the hurricane was the worst.
In the water?
In the water, yeah. And he had went up the wrong way on the bridge around the barricades and helped himself to the beach. I don't know that there's a good solution for it, because I'm not in favor of an all-out block to both lanes, because there are residents that stay on the island. And if at any point those residents decide they want to leave, they have to be able to get off. We can't do a hard and fast block and say, all right, if you stay, you're stuck. We have to be able to give them a way off. So I don't know that there's really a solution other than to continue doing what we do and make sure if we catch anybody that's in violation of curfew, in violation of state of emergency, driving on, on a closed roadway, whatever it is that we have to do to enforce it. Hopefully word will get out that way. But all in all, it went well. I mentioned this is my third summer here now, and I mentioned it during my first summer when we prepared for a hurricane but didn't get one, this town does very well at preparations, at being prepared for a storm event, and I saw it again with Dorian this year. The stress that's taken off of the departments by what's done behind the scene with Sendai, with Lisa, with everybody involved in making sure that we have the supplies we need, because when we come here, we're not leaving. They do a tremendous job, so thank you to everybody that helped us be better able to do our job.
Real quick, Chief, how many, we housed a bunch of sheriff deputies here. How many did we end up housing that night? Because they're told to stay in place when the storm comes in, so they have to find shelter.
Right. I don't know the exact number that we had.
I had
but,
counted 9, but I know
I was going
more
to say
than
that it was upwards of 10. Yeah, anywhere we could find some floor space, we were letting them come in. I know one morning I came in and there was a deputy sleeping in his car, and I thought, no way. We have room. Come on in. We had some extra cots, we had some extra air mattresses, so we were happy to accommodate.
We also feed them?
They actually had their own food, but yeah,
We
had
offered,
enough-
but yeah,
we were prepared to handle additional folks. Because last year we housed only about 3 deputies showed up, but that's what we also expected this year. But
Yeah.
we had a good number of them. But yeah, we were prepared to handle that.
Yeah, it worked out well.
Chief, the only thing I'd like you to do, not talking about the hurricane, is I've had complaints on 4th Street about a certain house that has a lot of debris underneath the house.
Okay.
I just want to see if they're breaking any codes. There's multiple complaints this week about that property on 4th
Okay.
Street.
I'll make a note. Any other questions?
You guys did a great job, Chief.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ken.
Finance, Tara?
Skip. No, wait, I skipped.
Well, for me, with the hurricane, it's usually way after. And
She stayed home.
depending on what the final costs come in is whether or not we will do a FEMA claim. And right now, I still don't know that because we definitely don't have any final costs whatsoever. But that's really my only,
So I guess Rick is going to do that, compile all that the amount of money and give it to you?
who will compile it?
Rick? Is it Rick?
With the fire
That's,
depart- yeah.
for the fire department and the police department.
Yes.
Yeah, and then any other, like Dustin's
Our
debris
bulk-
and,
Our bulk will be Dustin's debris, and that'll be what triggers whether we can actually go or not. It was only not even barely a 2-day event for us, so the payroll and all that's not going to get us to the threshold of which we can apply for. Most of it's just going to be the debris. So we're in a holding pattern to figure that part out until we start getting some of those tickets back for the dump site.
it'll take weeks before we know
Yeah.
what we're gonna have to do
Okay.
with that. The only other thing that I have for finance is that we're way ahead of schedule on the audit, which is awesome. So they're hoping to have the audit done by this Friday, and it's not due till the end of October, so that's wonderful. And then I'll review it and they'll submit it. So, is there any other questions?
I guess the only question I have, are you going to put a 98% on the income bringing from taxes instead of 101?
That was on the budget.
I know, so that's taken care of then?
Yeah, we did that during the budget. I actually like it really conservative and keep it around 96%. And then we can adjust that as we go forward with the audit, because the audit will tell us what our typical collection rate is, and it changes every year.
Right.
So then for next year, whatever this year's was, it'll kind of give us a base of where we should be at.
Thank you, Tara.
Good.
Are there any other questions?
Anything else for Tara? Thank you, Terry.
Thank you, Tara.
Todd, planning?
All right. Our staff did fantastic during the storm. Loyal, if anything.
You're in North Carolina.
Staff did great. We did, before the storm hit, we did a sweep of the entire community to make sure that our builders, we were in contact with our builders, make sure that they had strapped their materials down, tried to empty out their dumpsters or have those things attended to the best they can in the amount of time that they had to prepare for that. Most of them did very well. We made note of those who didn't in case there were any issues after the storms. Our inspectors did go back to their homes to ride out the storm. As soon as it was safe to travel, once the storm had passed, they got back here as soon as possible, did their damage assessments. Fortunately, everybody made it through with flying colors, even considering that we did have a tornado come through town. So there was really no structural damage other than, a couple popped out windows from the tornado here and there. So we did extremely well and very pleased to report that.
The only thing I'd like to ask you, the porta johns that are left out in construction sites, should we be able to take them off? Because I noticed a bunch of them fell over.
Some of them fell over, some of them are pumped out by the companies and pushed over, I believe, from what
Yeah,
I
but
saw.
some are with waste in them fell over. That's something we can look at down the road, maybe.
Absolutely, we can
Ask them to
certainly-
remove them from the island,
We
just
can
like we
certainly
do the
look-
garbage cans and everything else.
Yeah, we can absolutely
I
look
think it's
into
a health
that
hazard.
and see how we can better communicate with our local companies and contractors to do a better job.
Okay, thanks, Todd.
Yes, sir. Other than that, if there are any questions about the remainder of my report, lots of development going on.
You've got a meeting Thursday, right?
Correct. Planning board meets Thursday. There's several text amendments on the agenda schedule for, in regard to stormwater, fences, and of course, the sanctuary subdivision there with the 363 new single-family homes coming up, so staying a little bit busy.
Good.
The stormwater text amendment, that's for making sure every property owner does something with their,
The gist of the stormwater amendment is, give you a quick synopsis on that, is right now, if you build a house and you're only covering 29.9% of your property, you are not responsible for containing any of that stormwater. If you go to 31% coverage on a piece of property, you are responsible for containing 1% of that structure's stormwater, just whatever went over the 30%. What we are looking to do, as several other communities in eastern North Carolina have done, I've experienced it in Surf City while I was there and talked with several other beach communities who have had great experience with it, is requiring that every structure that's built have a engineered containment system of some sort for a 100% of the impervious coverage on the lot, which, in my experience, takes away a lot of the concerns and perceptions from the neighbors. It takes care of, it kind of draws a line in the sand as far as how much water is flowing off of a property to create some of our stormwater issues that we have in our pipes and, water sitting in the streets, because now 100% of that impervious coverage is being contained on an individual's property as opposed to working its way out into our public roadways, sidewalks, and what have you, creating damage to our infrastructure, streets, sidewalks, covering those up with sand, and just creating more and more problems down the road. So it will be discussed for the first time Thursday with the planning board. I've been working closely with John to develop a proper program that kind of is attached to the state's best management practices when it comes to stormwater. So I think we're gonna, if everything goes the way we hope it will, we'll have a fantastic recommendation and change of the ordinance to address stormwater as we're going down the road for the entire community.
Two questions. One, would that change affect all these new developments that are coming in? The
At-
Sanctuary, Sunset Ridge?
Yes.
Okay,
Everything,
Yeah.
the way it's written right now, it would affect everybody in the entire community.
okay. And the second one is, can you give us a sample, like for a private home? What is a 100% stormwater engineered containment
What does it
system
look like?
consist of?
Well, it depends, because it's kind of you have multiple options. Generally speaking, in my experience, what most people do, just because it's the easiest from a construction standpoint, is they will lay out a French drain system along the sides of their houses or underneath their driveways or what have you, somewhere on their property, and they will ensure that everything is interconnected via pipes and put to a rock bed, French drain, that kind of thing. You can do other methods, whether that be rain gardens, which are more decorative landscaping features that can contain that amount of storm water. You can do rain barrels, and use that water for plant irrigation and stuff like that. But just any mechanism that is engineered and designed to contain that water on the property is something that we would,
That comes from the non-pervious portion of the property?
correct. The
Like
roof
the
structure,
runoff
the
off the house,
concrete,
yeah.
the driveway, we address all of that.
Good, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Todd.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you, Todd.
Dustin's already.
Next up, Dustin, a Big Belly software update and monitoring renewal.
About a month ago, Big Belly contacted me to let me know that the software or the technology that these solar trash cans uses is based on cell phone, the same technology. Well, the cell phone companies are doing away with the 2 and 3Gs. So what that is, the models we have now are not compatible. They will be shut off here shortly, and we won't be able to monitor them no more. With that is we have to upgrade them to the new boards that they have out now, so we can still be able to access them and be able to monitor them like we have now. The solar bellies are the ones that are in the park, boat ramp, streetscape, and also in the gazebo parking lot where they're located at. And also, this is a 24-month period also for the renewal of the software for that, so we can still monitor them and be able to access it.
How many cans are we talking about?
22. There's 11 recycle and 11 trash
Oh,
What's the cost, I'm sorry, what's the cost of that?
per unit. 5,000 per unit.
Per unit?
500, right?
Wait,
500.
You're talking about boards. It's 100. They're giving us at a discount cost of $175 per board.
when, so when it's full, who does the sensor send the message to?
Well, it don't wait till they send out a message. What it does is we monitor it. We can go there first thing in the morning time, pull it up on the computer, or pull it up on the cell phones, and look at them to see what the status of them are. If they're half full or full, it'll be yellow or orange or red. That tells you that it needs to be empty. But it don't send out a signal. You had to monitor them.
And who empties those?
My guys, my staff, my guys.
How
Or I do.
How do you monitor it? Is it on your cell phone?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's an app that you can put on your phone.
Okay.
You log into it, you have a password and you log into it and you pull it right up and see exactly which ones you need to
Are
empty.
you the only one that has that app?
No, the other guys have it too, they can pull it up. And also on the main computer, anywhere you got a computer, you can access it.
Now, where does it, once you pick it up, does it go in the Public Works dumpster?
Yeah, the trash goes in there, plus I have a 45 cubic yard container behind the shop that we put a recycle in.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. Thank you.
You're welcome.
so that $10,000 here includes 22
Yeah.
motherboards at 175, and the
Yeah.
rest of it is a monthly?
Yeah, it's the
goes into a
22,
monthly fee for those?
well, it's a 24-month renewal.
Okay.
So by doing that, is the rest of it is for the renewal for the license for us to access and then monitor them. If you don't renew it, you won't have access to them and be able to monitor them. You buy into it. You don't buy The software, you don't buy it, you just forget it. No, you have to keep renewing it to be able to access it.
I have a question for you. I've never asked you this. If one of those cans get damaged or destroyed for whatever reason, are we responsible for fixing them and replacing them? Or is that something they replace?
Well, if it gets it just depends on somebody runs into it.
Well, if they just break, I mean,
Well, we do make repairs. We have to do repairs. We'll have to
That's
have
up to
batteries.
us.
That's on us. Yeah, that's on us.
So the 10,000 includes a 2-year monitoring fee?
Yes,
So there's no more cost after that,
Right.
2 years?
right.
no, at least is this an amendment on this we have to do?
Just,
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's up next.
Tara's got it.
Okay. It's
Mr.
a motion
Mayor.
we have to make today?
yeah, I'd like to
Yeah.
make a motion.
Second?
I,
Second.
well,
We need a
I
motion,
need to,
yeah.
I need to make the motion.
Make a motion.
Okay. I move we approve the updates in the monitoring contract totaling $10,768.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you, Dustin. Tara, budget amendment.
This budget amendment includes that contract, and that will be in accommodations tax. And then the budget amendment also includes a transfer of position from the streets department to stormwater department. And the budget amendment also includes council's decision to buy the mobile sign. And those are the three things that are in this budget amendment.
I'd like to make a motion to move to approve the attached budget amendments for the Big Belly software, the sign, and what's the third?
The moving a position, it's just moving a position from streets to stormwater.
Okay, and moving up the position, right?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tara. Back to Hiram. ERC appointment consideration?
Yes, sir. We've been having a little bit of issue trying to contact Ms. Ramsey and confirm her appointment and the date. She's the young lady who only thought she might be able to commit a year, so we're appointing her for the 1-year term. We have reached out to Mr. Don Eggert, who had applied for the planning board position. He's also interested in serving on this board. If y'all would like to, we're making a recommendation to put him on for the 1-year term or the 2-year term, whichever y'all like to go with. And as far as, I guess, the questions brought up previously, if y'all want to discuss that at this time, we can. It's my understanding, though, the liabilities of any board in this town are basically what they are. I mean, there's every committee here is an advisory committee, with the exceptions of the Board of Adjustment and the Planning Board, which by the ordinances laid out in the UDO establish what they can and cannot decide. Board of Adjustment has also the authority under the state law for what they can and cannot decide. But as far as indemnifying individual members, nobody's safe from that. The town will cover, if the league will cover the expenses for, if there's someone gets sued, like say someone sues the planning board, they are covered to be represented by us, unless of course this also, the planning board and then individuals, then as an individual, we may cover them if the league insurance says that it's a good fit. If not, the league may advise they get their own attorney. So for the questions of indemnity, unless you create a contract with specific individuals to grant them indemnity, we don't indemnify no one here in the town's indemnified. I'm not, y'all aren't, nobody. I mean, y'all will be covered, recent cases, an example, y'all can be covered as a group, also selected out as individuals, and then decided whether that's a group defense or not. So I don't have a clean coming to a middle ground answer. It's pretty established that unless you want to enter into a specific contract with individuals and grant them free and clear reign to do and say and act however they'd like to do on behalf of the town, you can't indemnify them.
But the
But-
ERC is working for the town council, so aren't they covered in, as far as legal?
They would still be covered, like if someone sued the ERC, they would be covered to be defended by the town. If someone sued an individual member of the ERC, they may or may not be. It depends if the action was taken on behalf of the town, and it's something that the league will ensure that we defend against. If it was something they were not authorized and empowered to do, then no.
But,
Can
I'm
you,
sorry.
can you give us an example of how a person may be sued?
This is the first time this has ever been brought up to me. I have no example for this. I mean, I don't know for the life of me what the ERC would be deciding that would get them sued.
But Hiram,
Because they're not making a decision.
But Hiram,
There's no decision being made by that committee whatsoever. There's advice to y'all to make a decision. The suit would, in my opinion, be against y'all, not the ERC, because the ERC only makes a recommendation.
as long as they stay within our terms and follow the rules, we're the ones that are responsible for allowing their decisions to come through the council.
Right. I mean, that's how that works. But I mean, if someone wants 100% guaranteed indemnity, you can't do that without a contract. That's what I'm saying, is you have to enter into a contract to grant that kind of authority.
And the town doesn't enter in the contract.
Y'all didn't do that with me. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd feel a little upset if
And for
you
good
did it
reason.
for someone else.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead, Charlie.
I have a motion.
Go ahead.
I move that we appoint Mr. Egert to the ECR with a 2-year term.
Second.
I second.
Discussion.
Yes, I have a question or a concern. We also have another town person who has renewed his interest in being on the ERC. I would like to see that happen. We've all interviewed him. He's present here today. I think he would be an asset to the ERC and would give us a fuller contingent of what we need on the ERC. I'm certainly not opposed to this motion, but I would also like us to consider the other person that is asking for reconsideration.
Lisa, can we add John to that motion?
You can make a separate motion
Separate
because you need to
motion.
establish somebody for a 1-year term as well.
So let's mention this and make a motion,
Okay.
okay?
Okay.
We second, right?
It was seconded, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it was. All in favor?
Aye. I'd like to make a motion that we also appoint John Farrell to the ERC. What was the term for the other one?
It'd be 1 year
One.
for this
1 year.
time, and then after that 1 year, because it's a staggered.
Okay. We only have one person with a 2-year term?
No,
No, the other two were already,
take it by,
the other 2 2-year terms were already taken by the.
So this
other
would be
two.
a 1-year term as well? Okay, that's
Definitely
fine.
be 1 year.
I second.
Discussion?
Discussion.
I'm sorry.
I'm really, and John's a neighbor and a friend, and I'm really concerned about all the legal questions he's asked. Like the rest of you, I never thought of that before, but that makes me have second thoughts.
What my concern is that he applied and set a number of conditions. When it was explained to him, he withdrew his application. Then he reapplied with essentially the same applications, same concerns that he had. And he wants to sit down and talk with our lawyer, which is an extra expense. I'm not prepared to vote for him at this time. until at least another round of interviews with him, because I would like to talk in more detail about what is it he thinks he's going to be doing on the ERC that would require him to be indemnified from those actions. So at this point in time, I'm not prepared to vote him onto the ERC.
I
Th-
don't,
that's-
sorry, Jen. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jen.
I understand what you're saying. However, we have a citizen who is interested in serving on a board, serving on a committee, and a committee that requires extreme amounts of work and research. Obviously, this gentleman does that.
You know, he had concerns. I have no problems with a person having concerns. You know, is this something we can bring John up and talk to him now about or now?
That's the mayor's call. I mean, that, my personal opinion of that, putting a citizen on the stand out of the blue.
No.
I personally think Councilman Corbett's idea of maybe sitting down together as opposed to a public forum on addressing these concerns, may be more polite to the citizen.
Yeah. And my idea would be at the next meeting, you know, after we've had a chance to have some discussions, put him back on the agenda.
Well, we have a motion with 2 votes for him, so what do we do? I mean, the mayor has to make the deciding vote.
We have to,
We haven't voted yet.
we haven't voted
We
yet.
haven't voted yet.
You've just motioned.
We have a motion and a second.
Is there any more discussion?
Well, I don't want John or anyone to be interviewed standing up here on TV and with the public that's here. So I would be glad to do a re-interview.
That's not part of the motion.
It's part of the discussion.
Right.
That's fine.
But the motion does not require him to stand up here and be interviewed.
Well,
I just made a suggestion,
right.
that's all.
It was, the question was asked. That's,
Is there any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
No,
Opposed.
until I have a chance to talk to him again.
no, same reason.
I'm not going to break the tie because I believe that Mr. Farrell should have the option to come back to the council and have a meeting with the council before this is voted on at our next meeting. So I'm not going to vote on it, and I'm going to suggest that Mr. Farrell meets with the council for an interview. I believe that's my right?
Lisa, you can abstain from a.
I can abstain from that.
I'm not sure.
I believe he has to vote.
I think it's your one obligation, is the way I understand it. I don't know if there's precedent to. Yeah, I don't think that was actually right.
Yeah, I think it's right. If he abstains, he has to vote. Just like if I abstain.
Well, if he abstains, it becomes a yes vote.
Right.
The way the voting works. I mean, if y'all want some unsolicited 2 cents, there's no harm in making an appointment, still talking about it, and if the candidate's not comfortable, they can always withdraw after the fact.
That's true.
That's true. Okay, I'll vote in favor.
Now, can I make a motion that we set meetings for John?
We can do that during the disposition of directors after the fact,
All right,
and we can just have Lisa handle that for y'all.
okay.
I mean, we've had a tough time getting,
Yeah, we don't need a
Getting
motion to set
people
up that.
and-
We can just ask to come in, we
I
don't got
hate,
time in
I
in
hate
the
to
next 2
tell
weeks.
somebody no,
Right.
when we've had this hard of a time getting 5 people.
Yeah. And I'm comfortable with this vote, just
Okay.
assuming, I still would like to have a talk with John.
Okay,
outside
good.
it.
Yeah, good.
Okay, now that that's done. Next up, ABC Board Travel and Expense Reimbursement Policy. Hiram?
This is a annual housekeeping item. The ABC Board needs approval to utilize our town travel policy into their system every year, so this is a letter confirming that.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the travel and expense reimbursement policy for the ABC Board.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're going to go to new business. Multi-jurisdictional disaster debris monitoring agreements, Hiram?
Last time we did the debris contracts for the actual people picking up the debris. When utilizing an outside contractor, you also have to have someone monitoring them, making sure what they're doing is above board. And so these are the two contracts to monitor the other two contractors. So if we enabled the one contract to pick up leaf and the debris, then we'd also have to enable one of these contracts to come monitor behind them as a check and balance. So these are the other two contracts the county got down to us, and we were able to finally get them on the agenda for y'all to approve. Like I said, it's part and parcel with the ones we approved last meeting.
We have to pay these, right?
Oh, yeah.
Cost-
We have to pay the other ones.
That's good.
Well, in our opinion, in our estimation, we need to do this in order to actually open the other ones, so this is housekeeping. The hurricane damage this time still wasn't to the point where we felt we had to get a contractor in here, so yes, if another one comes through and then we have a lot more disaster debris, then we'd have to we'd open up one of the other contractors and one of these, but I don't foresee that this is definitely not for Dorian, so if we don't agree to these, then we can't operate the other ones.
Now, who gave us these companies? The county did?
These are all piggybacked from the counties.
Thompson, is that the Thompson, Randy Thompson?
No.
And these are the same contracts that the rest of the municipalities have?
If they're
to-
piggybacking onto the county's contracting, then yes.
So in effect, the county itself supervises, monitors, and these contracts?
Right, they helped establish them.
Yeah.
Suppose we don't sign on to them, what happens?
We can't activate the people we signed on with last time.
If,
Our hands are tied, we have to do it.
We have to do.
so there's no way.
Unless you don't want to activate a debris contractor.
There's no way.
I'm sorry, real quick, nothing prevents us from going and finding someone else. It's just these are already pre-audited, pre-established, and guaranteed to service our communities. That's the difference.
There's no way we can monitor in-house.
No, no, this is a federal requirement check and balance kind of thing.
Right. Well, I don't want to say no to something that we might really need at some point. Something, if we have a really bad storm and we can't get anybody to clean up, we'd be in a real pickle.
We'll be asking the fire department to help.
They don't do enough.
I'd like to make a motion.
Go ahead, John.
I move that we approve these multi-jurisdictional disaster debris monitoring agreements.
I
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, y'all.
All right, next up is a public hearing request, Article 10 landscaping text amendment. Todd?
All right. This is one of the text amendments we've been working on for a little while here, just to kind of make some changes to Article 10 and landscaping, really beefing it up for commercial development and in regards to parking lots, increasing the amount of landscaping that goes in those areas. Same thing with trees and residential subdivisions, and then making a couple minor tweaks for in regards that'll lead to some stormwater changes as we see it for some upcoming text amendments. So basically what we just need to do at this point in time is schedule that public hearing for this text amendment for the October 7th meeting. That's all we're really looking for at this point in time.
I'd like to make a motion to accept public hearing request, Article 10, landscaping text amendment for October 7th, correct?
Yes, sir.
Discussion?
Discussion.
You have a second?
Second, we need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah. I have no problem with all of this. Just one question, the change made to the point-based landscape matrix on page 65.
Yes, sir.
It's added in solar panels with a point value of 5
Yes.
as a landscaping item. You know, solar panels, to me, would be something that might be something for our Environmental Resource Committee to review and figure out what kind of recommendations are. But I'm not sure putting solar panels on a roof or putting solar panels in the yard is what I would consider to be a landscaping thing. So I just don't think it fits here.
Understood. Just taking the recommendation from the planning board. They've had lengthy discussions on solar, and this was a way for them to try to give some, they've wanted to give credit to the public and those folks who do go that extra mile for making a green initiative. And this was, and you certainly all, when you all discuss this at your upcoming meeting, can pull that out, and that's certainly well within your right.
This was a chance and an opportunity to help incentivize people to take a stronger initiative towards being more green.
Yeah, we can't really require people to do solar panels because it's kind of an architectural feature of a house, and the state General Assembly no longer lets us touch that on
1 and 2 family homes.
single families and duplexes. So this was a way to at least give some people some credit for going that extra mile. We don't have that many folks who actually do it or take advantage of the opportunity to do solar. But I can dig into that.
Maybe you
some
want to
more.
explain to the people, what do you mean by points and credit?
Well, every home when it's constructed is required to meet a certain number of points based on the size of the lot.
Landscaping points.
Landscaping points.
In the majority of the lots, that's 36 points.
Right, correct. And with most of that having to be in your front yard. So let's say at a minimum, you have to get 36 points. There's a maximum requirement depending on the size of your lot of getting up to 72 points. So we're talking about, most people, by the time they sod their yard, use irrigation, plant their shrubs,
Leave 3 trees.
leave the 3 trees, which is the biggest thing, is to conserve the existing tree canopy. They're well on their way. In fact, most people far exceed our standards for landscaping requirements for residential homes at this time. I haven't run into a single house that has been even on the number. We have a great citizenry here that takes pride in their structures, so it's not even a concern.
But I mean, if you're trying to incentivize, wouldn't it be better to go figure out a way to get a grant program or something where somebody could provide funds to help people pay for it? Somewhere along that line. I just don't see this as a landscaping matrix and putting solar panels up in lieu of additional plants and trees or shrubs or whatever it happens to be. But we get to talk about that again
Yes.
after the public hearing, right?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
that's fine. Yeah.
So we can take it out later.
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
if-
You can
if we
change
want to.
anything in here.
Yeah,
If we
the
want to.
But it
process
doesn't
is-
have anything to do with
Yeah, right now, we're
Small
just
ones, yeah.
scheduling the public
or
hearing.
landscaping.
At the next meeting, you all, during your discussions, can ask staff to remove and adopt with whatever changes you want to make, or deletions, additions, what have you. That's certainly well within your purview.
Thank you, Todd.
I'm good.
We need to vote.
Vote.
We need to vote.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Todd.
Okay, next up is disposition of directives for the October 7th, 2019 meeting.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to remove the land use plan from the October meeting.
From the October 15th meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you have another date, or is
No.
it just? Okay.
just taking it off.
Yes,
Put it on later, okay?
yes.
Um,
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Oyster Bay Drive ROW closing public hearing for 10/7 is still on.
Yep, it's advertised.
The farmer's market vendor complaints for 10/7.
Councilman Serrato, before he left, said that that's still to be remained.
Waste Industries representative to visit and the pickup schedule for 10/15.
I'm hoping, I'm still trying to get him to confirm that date. It was a little far out before Dorian to confirm that with him.
Okay, we'll leave it
But
on
I'll
there.
leave it for the 15th, because
Okay.
he's been expecting it all summer.
The ERC initial report for 11/4, we're gonna, is that still okay?
Will that be enough time?
No, we still haven't gotten everybody together to confirm calendars. Like I said, we haven't been able to contact one of the members.
Okay.
So
Should we
we
go
gotta
to-
get them to get together to establish a meeting and then have a meeting.
Lisa,
So we'll just remove
Should
this
we go to
completely?
December?
Mayor, I got a question real quick.
Go
Well,
ahead.
we can have them reported the first month after they actually have their first meeting. We can just go ahead and bank on that.
Lisa, I had a question for you. Do we have to make a motion if you don't get a hold of this girl by a certain amount of time, we vote her off the ERC? That's something that just does, how we do that? She doesn't, she's not interested, okay.
So we can automatically just take her off.
At what point do we do that?
Yeah, but when do we take her off? When do we say
Well,
enough?
it-
Oh, okay.
Well,
Yeah.
But she has not rejected it either.
if we continue not to get a hold of her by the time we establish the first meeting, I'd sit there and say she's not. But we can try to work with her. My thing is, y'all don't have an out clause in your policy for this board like the other ones do. Like the planning board has, you miss 2 consecutive meetings, the council can remove. So you may just need to update your rules to include something for that. But, I would wait at least until there's a meeting.
What? Okay, so you reach her voicemail, but
Yeah. My question is, why do we want someone like that on the ERC? They're not responding to emails and phone calls. So, but I think Hyman's right. We wait until the first meeting, and if she doesn't show up and give a reply, she's off.
So do you want to just take the date out, or do you want to just take the date out?
You know, we will definitely, at the first council meeting, evening council meeting after their first meeting, get them to get a report.
Okay, okay. Dredging update presentation, Robert Neal,
We've talked to him, right? He's expected to be here 10/7.
10/7?
Yeah. I don't know if there's gonna be much to update. We're still,
it seems like there's been a lot in the news about, or either out there somewhere about the new status of the application.
I don't know, it's still in the Corps' hands as far as I've been
Right,
made aware.
right. But that's hard to understand. And he,
Yeah, he's coming to talk about all that, but I'm just
Okay.
saying, I don't know if there's gonna be an update outside of what you already know, that the Corps is making their own investigation and mail campaign. And that's what
and there's supposed to be another public comment period,
the
Corps
Corps,
is
the
gonna-
Corps is initiating a separate public comment period.
and Robert Neal will advise us on how that's going to happen.
As best he can, I mean,
The Corps is gonna send notices to the mailing list that we sent
Okay, to the
original.
property owners,
yeah, this is, you know,
affected property.
yeah, this is the same, the information that's been in the emails the last couple of weeks.
Okay,
And then they can correspond back to the Corps.
okay, but it's not for the general public? It is for
Yeah.
the general public. How do we let the general public know?
They'll post notices, just like we had to.
Okay, at the site or? Okay. in a
So right now,
newspaper?
we're just waiting on
I
the
don't
Corps.
know, it's however
Right.
the Corps does it is how the Corps will do it.
Okay,
We're waiting on them.
They haven't really been communicative
okay.
with us, so.
I just have questions.
I know. I would refer you to talk to Crumley, Tyler Crumley.
Okay,
He's the one that's initiating all this. He should
Okay.
have all that information.
okay,
He's just not been very receptive to returning calls.
okay.
Okay, that's it for that.
We'll have a sunset
Yeah, Sunset at Sunset's requesting to be on this 10-7 meeting for a
What
report.
did I want to add to this? Yeah. I don't need to do that. Okay. I knew there was something out there.
And Sunset at Sunset is for 10/7.
Yes, sir.
And then you've got the public hearing, which is just scheduled.
And that's also for 10/7.
Mm-hmm. 2 public hearings, 1 presentation. What's the other presentation? No, Sunset's a presentation. Okay. I thought it was just department report kind of thing. Any other items y'all would like to discuss at the next meeting? Add on?
Sunset at Sunset is, what is this, a presentation?
Yeah.
It'll be listed at a presentation, but it'll just be a report, who attended and how many visitors and all that.
And Sunset at Sunset, it will be the Saturday prior, so on 10/5. Everybody's welcome. So,
And again, this is an election year, you all cannot work the town booth.
right.
Oh, good.
Yay for
Okay.
us.
So the Sunset at Sunset is 10/5.
Yes, the
this
Saturday,
will be-
October 5th.
This will be just a presentation of how
Right.
that went.
It's from 9 to 6. 10 to 6. 10 to,
You work nights,
no.
10 to 5.
We work 9 to 6, but the event's 10 to 5.
You got to set up and then take down and clean up.
Yeah. Beautiful Saturday.
It usually is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a good time. I really thoroughly recommend, if you've got nothing else to do, to saunter on down. Food vendors,
Music.
drink vendors, music. It's a really nice festival.
And I like to say, but the Sunset at Sunset Committee is so well run, so organized. I go to the meetings as a council representative, and I just sit there in awe of what all these citizens do just for the love of Sunset Beach. I hope everybody goes.
We're very blessed to have a citizen group to volunteer for that. We really are. I mean, most towns, they struggle to get staff hours to put something like this together, but, you know, we really do have a great citizen turnout to put that together, so looking forward to it.
Okay, public comments. Does anyone have any public comments? Go ahead, John.
John Farrell, 624 Oyster Bay Drive. I'd like to thank the council for their consideration for the ERC. I think having discussion to further air this out and understand each other would be very good, would be very appropriate and helpful for me and perhaps for the town. I'd also like to thank Police Chief and the Fire Chief for their communications during Dorian about the status of conditions in the town. Your videos on social media, I think, are excellent. Perhaps you received some criticism about that, but I think you should be, I think you should be commended. For nosy people like me, it satisfied my need to know what's going on in the community, what's happening on the beach, what's happening with the roads, without jumping in my truck and running around doing stupid things. So, thank you.
Thank you, John. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm short. My name's Susan Bridges. I live on Coach Trail. I just wanted to add my grateful appreciation to the town and all the committees and departments for the work done on this storm, as well as past ones. The thing that's meant the most to us as citizens, at least me, is the emails from Lisa. Thank you so, so, so much. You feel like you're stranded in your home and don't know what's going on during this time, and she kept us updated around the clock, and it really was extremely appreciated. Thank you very much. And also, my concern was that I might get carried off by mosquitoes, but you guys already talked about that, so appreciate that too. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is Steve Strini. I'm at 7645 High Market Street. And I'd just like to make a suggestion for the beach area to maybe consider erecting a flagpole that reflects current beach hazard statements. For instance, it's usually green, yellow, and red. And if I'm not mistaken, there's nothing that does indicate that on our beach. So for instance, today it's a beautiful day out. You would never think that there's a beach hazard problem, but NOAA, National Weather Service, urge people don't even go into the water here this week because of the departing storm that's heading out, Humberto, I guess it's called. So just a suggestion to have a visual. People sometimes are oblivious to warnings and watches. As we heard, somebody in the storm went out in the Dorian and took a swim or whatever, which is ludicrous, of course. But anyway, a lot of the towns do have a flag system which visually states the conditions of the water. And I don't think we have that here. So just a suggestion to maybe in the future to think about that. And also, again, the videos were great. I'm 900 miles away, and I'm watching your videos of the town here, and that was really fantastic. Thank you very much, Chief, for that. And thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies
Thank
and
you.
gentlemen, thank you.
Anyone else?
There's only two people that haven't commented.
Okay, can I get a motion to go into closed session?
I'd like to make a motion to go to closed session right now.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.